Well, I can't believe it. The people over at PBS done found a way to manage to make opioids end up on a street named Sesame. That is right. The topic of opioid addiction has made it all the way onto a children's program, one that many of us have all grown up on. I remember watching Sesame Street damn near every day when I was a kid. And it seems to be going in a very interesting direction. So basically, what's going on now is, well, if you've seen this picture, the obvious character in the picture is Elmo. But there's this new character that just got introduced, and I believe the name of the character is called Carly, Karli. And they said that this is a foster care character who talks about how their mother has an opioid addiction. I said, oh, really, PBS? So when black people were going through the crack era, and shout out to Great Black Shark, one of my subscribers, because that's where me and him are sharing a brain. He said something that I said before I even made this video. They did not touch on the crack era, not even once, back in the 80s and 90s. Now, Sesame Street has been on since the 70s. And they not once touched on the crack era in the 80s or the 90s. But the minute that opioids hits palm-colored communities, now they want to make it a topic of discussion. I don't even think they've touched on racism. Or even, not to go full-blown with it, but, subliminally talk about it so it doesn't go and hit the kids or hit the kids over the head real heavy with it. But the minute something happens with palm-colored, they have to make it something for them. And it's interesting that they're doing it with a kids program, because I don't know many adults that watch Sesame Street. But then again, I could be wrong. Now I'm going to go ahead and read this article coming from today.com. It says a Sesame Street character named Carly is about to help young children affected by addiction to realize they are not alone. Back in May, Sesame Street introduced its newest Muppet, Carly, whose age is 6, who had just moved in with a foster family. Now her storyline is going one step further as audience members learn why she had to stay with her for now family. Carly's mother is dealing with addiction, and her addiction is a sickness that is not Carly's fault. What Carly does is she helps bring to life an issue that a lot of people think is a grown-up issue and don't understand the impact on young children. Sherry Weston, president of social impact and philanthropy of the Sesame Workshop, told Today. In the United States, there are nearly 6 million children under the age of 11 living with a parent who has a substance abuse problem. That's why Sesame Street is launching a new parental addiction initiative. Carly won't appear on the actual television show just yet. She was created for the online initiative. As her storyline develops, fans of the show will learn why she was placed in foster care. Her mother had to go away for treatment, but now she's back home and in recovery. The new resources which help children like Carly understand the situation and cope with big feelings are free and available in English and Spanish. My mom's been going through a tough time, Carly told Today. She has what's called a grown-up problem. A grown-up problems need grown-ups to help fix the problem, so my mom had to go away for a little while. In another clip, Carly shares what she has learned through her own experience. If you're going through a tough time, I've learned that it's okay to be sad or mad or scared because, well, sometimes when you love someone so much, when they're going through a tough time, sometimes it makes you feel sad and scared, but that's okay, she says. It's okay to talk about those things. It feels good to talk about those things. Through videos like these, Sesame Street aims to help children feel less alone, build resilience, and develop coping strategies. When you understand the impact it has on young children and the trauma it can cause, the impact that has on their healthy development, you realize why it's so important that we're creating tools to help address these issues. This is not the first time Sesame Street has used cute, accessible Muppets to tackle heavy topics. Last year, the show addressed children who experience homelessness through the eyes of a 7-year-old Muppet named Lily. In 2017, the show welcomed Julia, a 4-year-old who has autism. In 2013, Sesame Street introduced Alex, the first Muppet to have a dad in jail. I wonder what race they made that particular Muppet. But yeah. Well, it's safe to say I don't watch Sesame Street. I don't know many people that still watch Sesame Street or whose kids watch Sesame Street, but it's amazing that they're catering to this. And it's interesting too, because they did not mention one time in this article that they're talking about opioid addictions. But let's be real here. what so-called crisis is going on right now. They subliminally are talking about opioids, but they're not mentioning it in this article. But we know that's exactly what they're touching on. We know that. But all I can say is that this really isn't talking to the vast majority of black families. This is really geared towards rural America families and pretty much any other palm colored family out there in the land, the establishment known as the United States of America. But it's just amazing because, like I said, when black people were going through the crack era back in the day, or even the rising, of AIDS and everything like that, they didn't create a character to be a child to say what they had to go through living in a household with parents that were going through that. No. And I don't think they ever would, at least not to play on the sympathetic part, because back then we didn't get sympathy. We didn't get safe injection sites. We got jail or death. That was pretty much it. Those were our only two options. And sometimes death could have came in jail from those withdrawals. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, and I will talk to you in the next one.